You know, I am the master of procrastination. I built this grape arbor with my son in 2010, the summer of 2010, so that's almost 14 years ago. And when I did so, I put three green grapes on one side and three red grapevines on the other side. And after about 2 or 3 years, they started really producing well. But lo and behold, what happened was, when I bought these, they said that they were seedless. And every stinking one of these vines has seeds in them. And so when they started producing, I said, I'm gonna yank them out. That was like 10 years ago. I'm gonna yank them out, I'm gonna plant new ones. Well, here it is 10 years later. I made all this work for myself because I didn't do it. So every year I've been eating the seeded ones, and I don't like them. You spit the seeds out, or you can make juice out of them and stuff, but I hate them. So I'm gonna pull these out of here. So I've got all this work that I have to do with this. Oh, and incidentally, when I built this, I remember people telling me, you know, that thing's gonna rot. You should really treat that lumber. I didn't treat the lumber, but look at this thing. Now, there's a couple spots where it's bowed a little bit. Right there, it's bowed. But this thing is just, it's solid as a rock, and it's 14 years later. So I'm not really worried about it. So anyways, if it did start to come apart, then what I would do is I would just replace the planks. So haven't had to do so yet, but this is all cedar, untreated, and it's, you know, it's held up perfectly well. And of course, everything above the soil here doesn't need to be treated. This stuff dries out. You know, the wind and everything just dries it out, and it does perfectly. This thing will be another 20 years. So anyways, I've made so much work for myself. I got to pull all these out of here, and then I'm going to yank all of these grapevines out of here, and I'm going to plant new ones. Now, I got new ones from a different company, and they're supposed to be seedless. So let's see. Well, that went surprisingly fast. It only took me about an hour. So I've noticed up on top, I can put my irrigation line back in. I have an irrigation line that goes to here, up and over, and then down to the other side. So I got to tack that back on. But some of the slats up on top, those were cedar fence boards, the 1x6, and I ripped them into like 1x2. And some of those need to be replaced. So I'm going to grab some cedar fence boards, rip those down, and replace those. But other than that, everything else looks really, really solid. So I'm going to replace those. But first off, I need to pull these vines out of here. And these are going to be difficult because they go deep. This winch has been through the ringer. I've had this thing out in the woods, wrapped around trees, and this thing has gone way over its weight limit. Look at this thing, it's fraying. Cable is fraying, can you believe that? This thing has been through the ringer. I'm actually going to get a bigger winch on that. Well, it did all right. You know, I think I'm just going to get a saw and cut the rest of those roots out. I'm not going to bother with them. They're not going to grow back. Look at the size of the base of this root system. Just huge. Well, that is 14 years. You know, there's one thing to consider when you're filling up a raised bed like this where you're going to have any perennial plants in there. like grapes or anything. You know, if it's tomatoes and stuff, it doesn't matter so much. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to put in anything with like a lot of organic matter, compost and stuff, to where it's going to break down quick and it's going to sink a lot. Like you'll notice here, it came up to about here. Well, it was up here to the top, so it went down about 10 inches in 14 years. That's not too bad. I mean, that's going to happen, but I could have, you know, just kept throwing some in to keep the level raised up. But if you put in a lot of organic matter, compost and stuff, I mean, I've seen them sometimes sink a foot in 1 year, which is just insane. So I'm going to be filling this up with I have a lot of like topsoil mix that I'm going to put in. And yes, I'm going to tamp this down. Reason being is because if you don't tamp it down, then it'll sink even more. So I'm trying to get rid of a lot of the air pockets. Okay, so what I have here is I have a red flame seedless grape from Peaceful Valley. And this is a green grape Niagara seedless. So I've got 2 of them here. I've got 2 of each actually. So I'm going to put the red ones here, or actually I'm going to put the green ones here, 2 of them, and put the red on the other side. So now they say seedless, so you guys are my witness. In 3 years when I come back and I'm harvesting these grapes, and if they have seeds in them, you guys are my witnesses. Now see, what I had last time, I had 3. And the one in the center was the one that got the huge taproot, the one that just did the absolute best. And the ones on the outside, they just kind of like, they did okay. But that's why I didn't want to go with 3. I want to bring them in a little bit and just put 2, because the closer to the center of a bed, your plants always do better when they're closer to the center. All your outside plants will always struggle more. So, yeah, Grape Niagara seedless. So this one here is, oh my goodness. So what I want to do is when I put these in, I want the roots to go downward. I don't want them coming up, because they want the roots to go down, not come up. I mean, they eventually will, but I don't want them to have to come up and then make a turn and go down. I want to start them off right. Okay. All right. Make sure that I don't bury the stem too much. All right. I know I should get out my sprayer, but I packed it away for the winter and I just got to get it. So this is good enough. Lots and lots of water. You guys drink it up. And I also want to make sure that I wet everything. I don't want to just do it at the plant, because if I just water right here, the water's going to go down and it's going to wick away because this is all dry. So I make sure that I give the whole width of the bed plenty of water, because I don't want those roots to stay centralized. Okay, so there actually is one last thing I need to do, and that's to mulch. I'm going to throw some straw on here. And I prefer straw over hay, because hay could actually contain some seeds, and I don't want to have a whole bunch of grass all around here. I have to mow enough. So straw is just the stalk, and so it doesn't have any seeds in it. So I'll put that down there, and then I will move over to the other side. And don't worry, I'm not going to bring you along for that. It's pretty much the same thing as this. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll catch you later.